Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. Now, I'm so close. I'm so close to finishing this. I'm so close to finishing the episode. I'm so close. I probably wouldn't have been telling you so much I wouldn't be telling you this much right now if not for the fact that this episode took a while and had to kill a fucking podcast and a main series video in order for me to continue doing it. It's gonna a little close. I think it'll probably cut it a little close. I'll probably have to it'll probably be finished editing the day before it comes out. But I think I'm really close. All I need is to do 3 more segments that are 8 minutes long, not 8 minutes long each, but 8 minutes long in total, and it'll be done. One day will have to be spent uploading this podcast that we're recording right now. But after that, I'll have 4 days, and I'll have plenty of time. And then after that, I'll be able to finally give the people who are subscribed to the Patreon actual Patreon-worthy content. The next, for those who are interested in watching the Patron, I have an idea for a patron thing, because on Patreon I do a reaction series to things that I could either make episodes on or whatever. And once this is edited and once all this is done, I will be beginning watching Andor Season 2, and I'll be reacting to it on the Patreon. I'm so excited. Don't say anything about it. You'll probably be banned if you say anything about it. But I'm so excited. I'm not gonna get too much in depth, but I'm excited to finally check it out because Andor will be getting an episode soon when I'm finished with watching that whole series. And once I don't know when the episode will come out. It's in the schedule. I slotted it for I think July. I think July is when I'll finally make the episode Politics and Media Andor. It probably won't be titled that because I've been trying to not put Politics and Media in the intro just because, whatever. Though that one might be worth putting it in because that's the only way I can actually give my own take, because there's been so many fucking Andor video essays. I haven't seen any of them because I kind of don't want to be influenced by all their takes, and I'm pretty sure all their takes are fucking amazing because they're probably film school students or whatever. Regardless, let's get right into the news. First news story is actually somewhat related to the main topic, and it's one that is very fucking weird because it just happened. Okay, so apparently every single news source is trying to go by claiming the story is alleged. They always say this story happened allegedly, but I think it's pretty obvious that it did happen. Okay, so apparently Gustavo Petro, the president of Colombia, has announced during a press conference that he cannot enter the United States anymore because they took away his visa, going on to state, "I didn't really need a visa, but anyway, I've already seen Donald Duck several times, so I'll go see other things," he added, chuckling without further explanation. So it seemed a lot of people were a little bit perplexed because he apparently just dropped that statement during his random press conference, and then just everyone moved forward. Now this comes after Donald Trump and Gustavo Petro have been getting into a lot of heated arguments with each other. This all started when Donald Trump said he was going to deport a bunch of Colombian migrants to Colombia, and he wanted to do this big theatrical thing where it's all the migrants were going to be in chains, and then he was going to put them on a military jet line and then send them over there. But then Gustavo Petro said, "No, I'm not going to do that. You have to treat these guys with dignity and respect. Otherwise, I'm not taking them." And then Trump threatened, "Hey, if you don't do it, I'm going to put sanctions on your nation." And then Gustavo Petro said, "Okay." And then a week later, Donald Trump gave in to Gustavo Petro's demands and said, "Okay, fine. They won't be chained up, and they can be accepted on your presidential flight," which is what Gustavo Petro wanted since the beginning. This is a weird thing, especially with the news media. The news media literally tried to paint, even quote unquote liberal news sources were trying to say Gustavo Petro caved, but it's he didn't cave. He did not cave in the slightest. He, at the beginning, said, he didn't say that he wasn't going to take the migrants. He said, "You need to treat them with dignity or else I won't take them." And he got Donald Trump to treat them with dignity. It's the same thing with all the other, like, bullshit that happened, where it's like, he's like, Justin Trudeau, do this thing. I did this thing 3, like, months ago under the Biden administration. I got what I wanted. It's like, wait, what? And the same thing with Claudia Sheinbaum. It's like, Claudia Sheinbaum, do this thing. I'm going to do this thing that AMLO and Biden agreed on, like, a year ago. I won. It's like, no, you didn't win. Like, all the world leaders are, like, walking right all over Donald Trump. He's a fucking, like, child. He's a simp. He's a fucking loser. Like, the world is going to, like I've said this a couple of times already, but, like, U.S. hegemony is done. Like, I just gotta be real. U.S. hegemony is fucking done. Like, it's over. It's over. Like, literally, that might be the only saving grace for fucking the world, for America, that we're gonna lose all of our fucking, like, tiny treats. Cause, like, the only reason why they'd be, like, accepting of, like, whatever fucking loser shit that Donald Trump wants to do is because, like, they still get their little fucking treats. But, like, that's not gonna happen if the U.S. keeps, like, fucking over all the other nations. Well, I mean, in the sense that, like, giving the nation... I mean, like, the U.S. already fucks over all these other nations, but not in that specific way. Like, for real. Like, literally, I saw, like, a thing, and it's like, Trump's tariff plans are, like, gone now. It's like, it's ludicrous. He's trying to strongman people who just don't care about him. He doesn't understand all the rest of the... And I'm glad this is happening. I'm glad the world is literally just being like, yeah, we don't need you. Like, literally, the world functions without the United States. That's why things like BRICS are, like, a thing at all. It's the rest of the world realizing, wait, we need to, like, get out of this boat. It's why Argentina and fucking Brazil were talking about a currency united together before fucking Malay came along. The U.S.'s only allies now in the world scene are fucking Israel, fucking El Salvador, and, like, Argentina. Like, those are our only 3 allies at this point. Wait, I guess Italy? Fucking, I guess that's it. Like, really, those are our only friends now in the world. But, like, yeah. I'm just glad that the rest of the world is fucking wising up to the U.S.'s bullshit, and all it took for them to do it was, like, to see, like, hey, the United States literally elected a guy who tried to overthrow the government, like, the guy who put us in a fucking worldwide plague. It's like, huh, maybe these guys aren't as smart as we think they are, and we don't have to be scared of them anymore. Let's move on to the next story, which is domestic news. Okay, Dick Durbin won't seek re-election. The 80-year-old Democrat told blah 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 that age wasn't a factor in not seeking a 6th term. Blah blah, whatever, it doesn't matter. His spiel is, I've decided not to run for re-election, so a year and a half from now I'll be wrapping up. I plan on working full time until that moment, but I'm not going to be wedging a campaign for re-election. The major reason for his decision boiled down to one thing: his age. By the time his 6th term ended, 88. It's time. You observe your colleagues. A lot of people like to point to, like, just age, like, being the thing. It's like, I know the real reason. It's the same reason why a lot of, like, fucking, like, prominent Democrats decide to retire right before the 2020 election. They're afraid of what happens next. They know that the next few years in government is going to be difficult for them, because they're either going to have to actually run and be opponents of Trump, or they're going to be steamrolled into oblivion. So they're basically choosing the route where they don't have to do anything. And almost immediately, and the Democrats are doing the same thing that they've been doing over and over again. Julia Stratton, the lieutenant governor, announced that she's going to be running for the term, and even going so far as to get fucking J.B. Pritzker, the incumbent governor, to announce that he's going to be supporting her bid, and essentially bankroll her bid, which is the strategy that Democrats do now, where it's like, oh, I'm going to announce super early in the run, so that no one else, like, it's the same, like, literally, in this, like, I just gotta be real. That is a strategy that a lot of Democrats are doing. I've noticed this, the first time I noticed this was fucking Katie Porter. Katie Porter announced super early for the fucking, like, California Senate race. Just, like, when that seat opened up, immediately she, like, said, I'm running. Like, almost immediately. And it's like, really? Like, really? You, of all people, are gonna run? And, of course, the reason why she did it is so that no one else feels like she needs to, like, no one else feels they need to challenge her. She wants to be the one that gets all the emails, all the people to be like, well, she's the nominee now, and then support her. That's what they want. That's the whole point of this strategy. When the Minnesota Senate seat opened up, what happened? Peggy Flanagan announced almost immediately, I'm running for this seat. And they're all so fucking, like, stupid. And down here in North Carolina, what happened? The seat didn't open up, but like Wiley Nickel in the Democratic field announced super early so that he could try and be like, Roy, please don't run, please don't run, please don't run. It's so fucking stupid. It's just really stupid in my eyes because it's just so transparent, especially when these guys, they do it and they have nothing. Like, none of these people that I've talked about have a platform, have a campaign apparatus, have nothing. All they have is a website and a donation link. That's all they have. Actually, another example is in North Carolina, where Jeff Jackson almost immediately announced that he was going to run for the last Senate seat. Because it's again, he had no platform. Throughout the entirety of his Senate campaign, he didn't have a platform. They're nothing. They are nothing. None of these people are anything. And I don't care. I don't care about any of these people. Fuck all of them. I don't care. There's some people in my audience, in my crowd, they go Peggy Flanagan's cool because she's friends with Tim Walz. The same Tim Walz that bent the knee to fucking Kamala Harris and killed us over. I don't give a fuck. These people are useless to me. Oh, but Tim Walz, he was critical of Kamala Harris's campaign. Yeah, he wasn't critical when it fucking counted. I don't care that he's doing a Monday morning quarterback. I don't care. He wasn't right on the issues before it happened. Now, magically, we're supposed to be oh, Tim Walz is so cool. I don't give a fuck. I care nothing about any of these people. Peggy Flanagan is running on the same thing that fucking Minnesota Democrats have run on every year ever since 2002. They're oh, we're just like Paul Wellstone. Paul Wellstone's son wants to run for the seat. She stole his fucking old father's imagery. It's what the fuck? This is an empty vessel. I don't care. The only fucking Senate campaign I actually give a shit about in the next election is fucking Abdul El Sayed, because he actually is an important person who's actually done actual things. He's not doing Monday Night Quarterback. He was there being critical before it all happened, and now he's being critical now. And I barely think that we're gonna have fucking elections at all, because right on cue, election rigging for 2026 is happening. Let's go into this. Trump is to target ActBlue in a presidential memorandum. So, in a shot at ActBlue, the left's major online donation platform, President Donald Trump plans to sign a presidential memorandum on Thursday that he will cast as cracking down on foreign contributions in American elections, according to a person familiar with the policy and granted anonymity to discuss the not yet published details. Attorney General Pam Bondi's office is expected to be involved in the effort, the person said. The order is expected to specifically target ActBlue. Republicans have long claimed that the platform could be exploited by foreign actors, while Democrats have warned that the action is an example of Trump basically targeting political opponents. After this article was published, Politico obtained a fact sheet on the memo confirming the details. The memo will direct Bondi to investigate and take appropriate action concerning allegations regarding the use of online fundraising platforms to make straw or dummy contributions and to make political contributions to U.S. political candidates and committees, all of which break the law. Trump received $230 million from Israel. He wants to fucking target foreign election interference? He should target his own self. It's very obvious what this is. Yes, he's just targeting political opponents. He did the same thing when he went after Letitia James. He's just targeting political opponents. Fascism is here, my friends. And this is why I am 100% vindicated. There are so many other reasons why I'm 100% vindicated, and I'll get into. I guess I could just title this entire fucking segment "The Fascism is Here," my friends. Because next thing, RFK Jr.'s autism study. RFK Jr. is apparently going to start stealing people's medical records to find out who the autistic people are and put them in a database. I wonder what happens. I wonder what happens when governments start putting people in fucking databases. I wonder what happens. And it's specifically seeking to cure autism. That's interesting. How do you cure a thing that can't be cured? That's interesting. That's weird, No alarm bells whatsoever. No alarm bells whatsoever. There's not much else for me to say on that because it's just it just sounds so obviously evil. I am going to track down where the autistic people are, and we're not going to do anything about it. We're going to cure the autism. It's fucking loser-ass bitch. What? Realistically, if it's not just going to, what's going to happen, even if, if the worst-case scenario doesn't happen, what's going to happen is just the U.S. is just going to stop diagnosing autistic people. That's just what's going to happen. Like, RFK Jr. is just going to send a memo and they're going to tell people, don't diagnose autistic people. Like, if an autistic person is going to come into the, like, shop now, into the fucking, like, medical thing to get an autism test, what's going to happen is that they're just not going to tell them. That's how he's going to, like, get away with the whole, like, oh, you see, ever since we did this thing, autism rates are going down. Like, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. If not, like, just the obvious, like, fact. If not the, like, most obvious scenario of this. Like, because, again, like, it's the same thing with fucking Israel, where it's like, Israel's like, we are not murdering all the Palestinians. We're not committing a genocide against them. As you can see by our very meticulous graphs about the fucking, like, birth rates and death rates of the Palestinian people. It's like, wait, why do you have that? That's a very interesting thing to just have. Just like, why are you tracking the birth rates and death rates of Palestinians? That's weird. Next part is Donald Trump wants to apparently invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807, which allows the president to use active duty military personnel to perform law enforcement duties inside the United States. Totally not hyperbolic to call this guy a fascist or a dictator or anything. No, he literally just met with a guy who's like an actual like dictator who like literally created like a fucking like who literally inspired directly by Hitler, literally decided to declare a state of emergency and then like use that to evoke political power so that he could like arrest anybody who he wants to do. Yeah, no need to panic about the fact that Donald Trump literally is starting to sell literally Trump 2028 hats. Like, ignore that. Like, ignore that. He's just joking and trolling around. He's just joking. No, he's not. He's not. He's not. Like, he's not. Let's think about the dude, I made a fucking, like, 4-hour video essay about the fucking, like, how the far-right politics is literally based purely on just saying, like, it's just a joke, bro, calm down. The modern-day politics of the far-right is literally based on the premise of we're just joking around. That's how it starts. It always starts as they're just joking. And then after you actually interact with them, you realize that their actual political beliefs are the exact same things as the jokes. It doesn't matter if you, like they make jokes like, oh yeah, you see, trans people, 42% of trans people kill themselves. Isn't that funny? Ha, like, it's a joke. It's like, okay, but like, well, then what's your actual political beliefs? If you're not a transphobe and this is all just jokes, what's your actual political beliefs? And then they tell you their actual political beliefs, and it's like, you just said the exact same thing as your quote unquote joke. Same thing with Trump and this whole like, oh, we're joking. It's like, he's not joking. He's openly stated that he is looking to end the term limits. He's openly said this. There's a bill in Congress to do this. And everyone's treating it like it's a joke. That's a fact. Even fucking liberals are treating this like it's a joke. They post online, they're like, Obama 2028 that. It's like, no, this isn't a joke. The bill that they have in Congress bans Obama from running for re-election. This isn't a joke. You're treating this like it's a joke. Like, no Democratic politician has ever said anything in response to this. None of them. Because they all are just like, oh, it's just a joke. They're just not treating this seriously. This should have been an immediate, like, no, out of the office now. That should have been the thing. Like, in Mexico, when politicians even, like, are remotely rumored to possibly be thinking of trying to end the term limits, they're like riots in the fucking streets. Like, it's not a joke. I don't care if he's like, I don't care. And there's some people who've even tried to like, well, he's probably just like trying to like tout one of his children to run. It's like, no, it's not. The dude last time he lost tried to overthrow the government. I have no faith that he's going to just give the office away to anyone else. He's even stated like his plan is for J.D. Vance to run for president in 2028, and then when he gets into office, he just gives the office to Trump. Like, this is what's going to happen. The 2026 elections are going to be rigged so that the Republicans win because they're doing it right now. Gerrymandering laws are getting more strict. Like, they're pushing laws to, like, push harder for people to, like, not vote. The SAVE Act, which a lot of Democrats voted for, they're now, like, a lot of people are going to get turned away from the voter rolls because they, like, have a hyphen in the name that isn't supposed to be there, which is going to just sway a lot of people from voting. Like, literally, it's just going to make it so that a lot of people won't be able to vote in the next election. That coinciding with the fact, like, there's going to be threats of, like, a lot of brown people potentially getting deported for that. The fucking ActBlue is being, like, moratorium on ActBlue, the primary fundraiser for people who are actually opposing Donald Trump and his actions. Democrats aren't doing a fucking thing to stop him at any point. At any point, they're literally sitting there bending the knee, sucking his balls, just hoping that the system will work when it just hasn't worked thus far. Remember, Donald Trump tried to overthrow the government, and not a single, very few Republicans voted to impeach him on that. And now those same Republicans are now bending the knee to him. Every single Republican in this nation is a fucking cultist who knows nothing about anything, bends the knee, loves fascism. They are not human. They're not human. They are sheep. That is what they are. They are sheep. For real. I'm borderline on the point where I'm just yeah, whatever happens next, we fucking deserve it. Because it's just we are the nation that looked at a man that on a very base level barely did any of the things that he said he was going to do, is a foreign-bought politician from countries like Russia, Israel, India, etc., alongside American billionaires and foreign immigrant billionaires like Elon Musk, who was best friends with a literal child sex trafficker who during his administration led an actual fucking plague that killed 400,000 people and forced us into lockdown for 2 years. When he lost, he tried to overthrow the government. He's been indicted on 34 felonies, made sexual comments about his own children, has multiple very credible sexual assault allegations, who is literally right now threatening to be a dictator for life. And we just said yes. The nation just said, yes, we will vote for him again. For real. I'm at the point where I'm just yeah. Whatever happens next, it's us reaping what we sow. It sucks that a lot of sane people are going to have to suffer the consequences too, but maybe we really do need to fucking learn. For real. I've literally accepted the fact that death is going to be coming by 2028. I said this in a DM, but it's unless we're getting literally 100, unless we're getting 535 to 0, there is there's no path forward. Maybe I'm being fucking hyperbolic and it's just gonna be a regular standard bad 4 years of an administration. Maybe I'm wrong, but at this point it's just what is there to hope for? I'm just here watching the building burn down. We threw away the hose. We threw away the hose when we didn't elect. I said this in 2024. I said this. This is me being consistent. In 2024, I said that was the election that could have done a lot of things. It was the election that was it was literally the election of good and evil. You might say but Kamala Harris, yeah, I know. But if the forces of good were able to put Kamala Harris in that seat, then maybe something could have happened. We would have had some form of hope. In everything that has happened up to this point has vindicated me 100% on me swallowing my pride and voting for Kamala Harris. I think she's an absolutely worthless cunt who deserves no political office ever in the future. California governor, California Senate, no, nothing. You get nothing. You lose, you go away in a hole and never come back. You had your chance, you fucking blew it. But evil won. So, I'm just being consistent. I saw a good future if Kamala Harris won. I saw a bright future ahead. We could have worked with that. But what can we work with in this? Every slightly good thing that happened in the past 4 years is gone. And we're literally we're not even back to square one. We're back to square -50. Sorry for the doomer rant, but I'm just saying, there's nothing. There is nothing. The hope, dude, why do you think I'm making a fucking tier list of world leaders outside of the United States? Guys, why do you think I talk about politics outside of the US? Because those are the places that actually have good W's. US, we have nothing. Speaking of, I guess I'll just get off of this and move on to the main topic of this video. And with this, I guess I'll reveal, I guess I already revealed it in a rant, but the video that is going to be released on Thursday, on May Day, no less. The video in question is going to be me ranking all of the leaders in what is known as the Pink Tide. We all know what the Pink Tide is. I've talked about them a decent bit. The Pink Tide, for those who don't know, is a group of leaders in left-wing leaders in Latin America that espouse the ideology of socialism of the 21st century. You know, basically starting with Hugo Chavez in Venezuela in 1998, which just basically expanded to a lot of other Latin American nations. They've done a lot of things. You know, they formed the Sao Paulo Forum. Again, a lot of the figures you probably know: Lula, AMLO, Scheinbaum. But I've also, the thing about this list is that I put a poll earlier in the year, or I guess late last year, where I basically said, like, hey, I have this idea, but, okay. But I basically said, like, I want to know this, because, like, I guess I'll just go into another bit of a rant about the Pink Tide, because one thing that is a bit of a problem with the Pink Tide is that some people are not necessarily consistent with what is considered Pink Tide, even though I think the definition is pretty abundantly clear. Like, as I said before, left-wing leaders in Latin America elected post in the 21st century. That is it. That is the term. That is what the Pink Tide means. But there are some people who are a bit more, let's just say, stupid on this issue. And they argue that there are certain people who should be counted when they shouldn't be. One particular thing is, like, the expansion beyond Latin America. Because, like, it also is a little bit difficult, especially considering, like, what is considered Latin America can sometimes be, because sometimes I think the term Latin America can even exclude, like, Brazil, but Brazil is considered part of the Pink Tide. So one of the big things that people do is, like, they go, like, okay, does it mean, like, just the places that were colonized by Spain? Does it expand to the broader Ibero-America? Does it expand to the Caribbean? Does it expand to, because, like, there's another thing, notice that in most, like, things of Latin America, they always exclude those three parts in South America, like French Guyana, and, I forget what one of the other ones is. I think it's Suriname? No, it's pronounced Suriname. I always thought it was pronounced Suriname, but it's pronounced Suriname. I don't even know if it's the one that's in there, but, like, regardless, like, those are places that were colonized by the Dutch, so it's like, do they count? And most people say they don't count, but it's like, but they have some broader ideological alignments with the Pink Tide. Sometimes they expand for the Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, sometimes they would include Cuba in there, but I'm like, I have to keep, like, I kept fighting to make sure that the definitions was, like, abundantly clear. Like, sometimes they include, another times that they also include Haiti sometimes they don't, but it's like, I had to fight to make sure, like, it's abundantly clear what it is. So then, what the compromise for English Wikipedia was, I had to make a fucking, like, disputed list. I had to make a disputed section, where it's like, oh, disputed, because, like, sometimes, especially considering there are a lot of times, it's like, because American sources are stupid, because they'll be like, Luis Abinader, Pink Tide, it's like, but is he really? So then I put it to a poll and basically like, hey, do you guys want me to count, like, the real Pink Tide, or do you want me to count only, like, do you want me to count, like, all of them? So basically, you all said that, yeah, we're basically fine with you including, like, a couple of the other, like, guys who are considered not technically Pink Tide. So it's basically Pink Tide plus. So it's like, but I mean, the way I structured the list was that it's abundantly clear who is considered a real Pink Tide leader and who is considered, like, a disputed leader. And the way the list is, like divided, that was one of the things I also wanted to say. Like, should I divide it so, like, it's like the disputed ones get a little section at the beginning, and then also I include the list proper? But they're like, no, you wanted me to, like, intersperse them with the list, which, you know, it's like, fine, whatever. But, like, it makes you know who is ranked where because of the fact that, you know, they're there. And one thing that I've actually been in a little bit of a bind about is about the rank, about, like, not just the ranking of the Pink Tide, but, like, how the Pink Tide is structured. You see, because, like, most people in the world put the Pink Tide in two distinct camps. The first wave and then the second wave. The first wave being the wave, like, from Hugo Chavez to, I don't know where they would necessarily end it, but they say, like, because, like, there was a point in time where the Pink Tide kind of, like, faded into obscurity, like, and then AMLO came along and revived the Pink Tide, so they're like, those are the two waves of the Pink Tide. I actually, at this point, argued that there were actually three waves of the Pink Tide. There was the initial wave, which was, like, the first wave of leaders, which I think I have the list right here. It might be edited in the episode, it might not be. I'll probably post it on like Twitter or something, and like maybe link it or something. But like the first wave I put as Wave 1, 1999 to 2007, which was Hugo Chavez, Ricardo Lagos, Nestor Kirchner, Lula da Silva, Evo Morales, Manuel Zelaya, and Tabaré Vázquez. But then I put a second wave, a wave that was like, it's the reason why I divided it into this section is because if you were to really go that way, then like there's certainly, because like I don't really think it's fair to put like okay, I guess I'll just go into it. Wave 2 I put as 2008 to 2017, and I don't even know if that's like necessarily like fair necessarily, but this is the way it makes sense to me, because like that would be Rafael Correa, Michelle Bachelet, Cristina Kirchner, disgusting Daniel Ortega, disgusting Ollanta Humala, Pepe Mujica, Nicolas Maduro, Fernando Lugo, Dilma Rousseff, Mauricio Funes, Salvador Sanchez Seren, and Alvaro Colom. Not necessarily in that order. But like my perspective for that was basically I felt like, you know, the I mean, we have like Lula da Silva was in the first one, and then the next wave would naturally be his successor, Dilma Rousseff. I can't really put him and her in the same like wave because they're different leaders and they have different sort of ideological perspectives. Like, I mean, they have similar ideological perspectives, but they're definitely different enough. Nestor Kirchner, Cristina Kirchner, Lagos and Bachelet, and Vasquez Mujica and Chavez Maduro. The funny thing is that this also would have Funes and Seren. They're the only ones that actually get to be in the same tier. But that doesn't, I guess, like that makes sense to the extent, I tried to make it so that there was like enough of a, like, enough of a wave, like the time frame, like 1999 to 2007 is 8 years, 2008 to 2017 is 9 years, and like that, it seemed like that was a good enough wave for me. And then wave 3 would of course be AMLO, Alberto Fernandez, Luis Arce, Pedro Castillo, Xiomara Castro, Gabriel Boric, and Gustavo Petro. Again, like I said, this is an old list, so it doesn't include Scheinbaum, Orsi, and fucking whatever. Now I was actually in a little bit of a bind because I was wondering if I should make wave 4, and my whole thesis on that was going to be with Luis. Like, basically I was gonna say like if Luisa Gonzalez gets elected, then that would probably solidify a wave 4. But I guess it probably isn't that time for a wave 4 yet. So we have to wait for the pink tide to like kind of like dissipate again, which could be possible depending on certain things. But you know, regardless, those are my general ideas of like what the waves the pink tide are. So I guess Scheinbaum and fucking AMLO would also get to share Seren and Funes' fate in that regard. Regardless, I hopefully they don't suffer the fate those two had IRL. Funes had to like flee to Nicaragua in order to get political asylum for corruption charges. Ooh. But anyways. So that's what the main series video is going to be about. So similar to my copyright week, I decided that for this episode, I would do a little bit of an interesting thing and decide to, because this is a thing I've kind of thought about for a bit, like kind of like the idea of like, what is the future of the pink tide? I don't necessarily like to do like the whole like predictions necessarily, because, you know, predictions can be wrong all heavily. But I thought this is just like a good time to be like, let's just have some fun speculation, shall we? I got depressing in this episode. Let's have some fun speculation. Like, will the nation, like, will the pink tide shrink or will it grow? Are we gonna get some new face? Like, and who are the new faces in these nations going to be? All right, but there are gonna be there are a couple of exceptions. You see, for this one, I'm not including Uruguay because Uruguay just elected Orsi, so it's really, really hard to signify whether or not there's going to be enough, like whether or not like there's enough like momentum there. I'm also not going to put Ecuador because Ecuador just had their election, and this time they actually have to wait a while before their next election, hopefully, or hopefully not, depending on how Noboa is, but it's a little bit too early to like justify that. Notice how I excluded Mexico in there, but that's because I know a lot about Mexican politics, so I can actually give a good enough prediction. That's another reason why I can't talk about those two, because I know a little bit about Uruguayan and Ecuadorian politics. I know enough to, like, hold a conversation about them, but I'm not obsessed about it like fucking, like Mexico. I'm not obsessed about it like Mexico's politics. And also, I will refrain from discussing the Honduras, Bolivian, and Chile elections, because those elections are coming up, so they're going to have a lot more in-depth analysis later in the year. Like, those areas in particular have a lot more malleability. I mean, I'll give some example. I could go over each of them in a little. I'll tell you a little bit about them so that you get an understanding. Like, Chile is currently in the process of nominating candidates for the upcoming election, and the left hasn't solidified their candidate yet. There's currently, I'm trying to remember, they have the Socialist Party candidate, they have the Lagos Party's candidate, the Communist Party candidate, and the Broad Front candidate. They have 4 separate factions currently vying for control of the governing coalition. Like, it's a little bit difficult to explain, like, the Chile governing coalition, because it's, like, really complicated. But, like, regardless, those are the 4 major tendencies. One is, like, social democratic, socialist. One is, like, a broadly, like, liberal progressive party. Then we have a party that claims to be libertarian socialist, the Frente Amplio, Broad Front. And then we have the Chilean Communist Party. Those are the 4 factions currently vying for control. They're all 4 going to join together once they nominate a candidate, but those are the 4 major factions, and I don't necessarily know which one is winning yet, because as of right now, it's a 3-way tie. The Communist, Liberal, and Boric's candidates are all, like, basically tied for the first, for the winning. Like, they're tied. Like, it's like 31, 29, 28, something like that. It's like, again, it's like really close. So I can't really, like, give a full in-depth analysis quite yet. Honduras, I'm gonna have to wait a little bit, because I very infamously got the Honduras election super off in when I predicted their election, because I did their election way too early, because I genuinely was just like, I don't think that Xiomara Castro's gonna win. And currently, Xiomara Castro's candidate isn't doing so hot, so I'm gonna have to give some time to wait. Maybe things will change. And the Bolivian election right now is super fucked up. It is so fucking absolutely insane right now. Okay, we have Luis Arce, who's trying to maintain control of the MAS, but we have like 4 different MAS dissident parties that are all trying to run candidates against him. One of them is Evo Morales, who's trying to do his whole spiel. One of the person is the person that Evo Morales wanted to be his vice presidential nominee, but they're apparently going to go solo too. And there's another indigenous rights movement that is going to go solo. So it's like, I gotta wait for that to get sorted first. Like, are they inevitably going to come back together, or is this going to, like, just be a spiel to try and, like, ruin the chance for MAS so that the opposition can unify? But all right, let's get into the ones that we have now. So first of all, I guess I'll just say I don't have any major predictions for any expansions, because I don't know much about other, like, certain nations' politics, like Costa Rica. Costa Rica is, like, I think the one nation that hasn't, like, officially had a Pink Tide member in the nation, like, be, like, leading them. But it's, possible. Anyways, let's move on to the ones. All right, so first, let's talk about Nicaragua. As of right now, I guess the Pink Tide's going to remain leading force in Nicaragua. And this is the rare time that it means that Nicaragua's doomed. Daniel Ortega and his wife will remain the leaders until they die. Then I assume one of the kids that Daniel didn't rape will take charge afterwards. And or democracy will thrive once more. Whatever. I don't know. Basically, like, they're a one-party state dictatorship. There's nothing to predict there. Venezuela, they have, like, slightly more to predict there. So right now, Maduro is the hip thing, but they need to start thinking about a successor, because Maduro isn't that popular. So they gotta start thinking about a potential successor. Like, Chavez was immensely popular, and he still even had time to think about a successor. So who's gonna be the successor? Who's PSUV's next guy? Well, currently, I think it's like a bit of a draw between 2 people. Well, the one thing I really gotta mention is, like, you can't ignore that there's a prominent PSUV politician named Diosdado Sabeo, and Diosdado has been eyeing up the chance to be the president for a long time. Like, he got a brief taste of the presidency, like, back in 2002 when they tried to coup Hugo Chavez, and he became president for, like, a short while. And for all intents and purposes, he was seemingly the guy that was going to be the president once Chavez died. But then Chavez announced, I want Maduro to be my successor, so they're like, uh-oh, I guess that's gonna change. So a lot of people are thinking that maybe, and Diosdado was actually floated as a potential candidate to replace Nicolas Maduro during the 2018 election due to Maduro's unpopularity. But it doesn't seem like he's going to get his chance. He's just going to be a second banana for the rest of his life. So the most likely candidates to succeed Nicolas Maduro is going to be Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, who's interesting because technically she has a prominent history within the movement. Her father was a member of the movement. Her brother was a part of the movement. But interestingly enough, she's also interesting because she's not technically PSUV. So there's a chance that she could actually rebrand. Like, she could actually be like, look, I worked with Maduro, and yeah, blah, 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 but I'm going to try something different. If Venezuela was smart, they would want to, if they wanted to prosper and actually have a real leftist in charge, maybe Oscar Figuera of the Venezuelan Communist Party would be the next president, but that's never going to happen, so whatever. El Salvador, no predictions, because they're doomed. The dictatorship is here, and the FMLN has basically been murdered electorally. Maybe since term limits are gone, Seren could run again, but he's under investigation, so I don't know if that's going to happen. Alright, next one is Paraguay. Now, I don't know if there's going to be a win for the Pink Tide in Paraguay in the future, but something interesting was happening when I last talked about the Paraguayan election. If you remember the most recent election, there was a massive electoral coalition that ranged from the center to the left, which was running against the Conservative Party. But then in the last months of the election, the main left-wing party, the Guasu Front, led by former President Fernando Lugo, who was couped by his legislature. Like, the whole situation about his coup was like so BS. Literally, cables released by WikiLeaks literally reveal that it doesn't matter what was going to happen, they were going to coup him anyways. But like, he announced that they were going to unendorse the mainstream candidates, and they're now running electorally solo again. So it seems like there's a chance that things might go forward for them, but I don't know if they will. Like, I don't know. They might try solo, but I don't know if they're just gonna win solo. Alright, next one is Peru, a nation that's had a very fucked history recently trying to pick a leader. And, well, I don't know if the Peruvian left is going to have the chance to come back. So, like, sadly, the most recent, like, levels of, like, the Peruvian left was them basically trying to run an indigenous fascist. Like, literally, in the lead up to the election, Anataro Humala, who was the brother of Ollanta Humala, who was currently under investigation for, like, a ton of, like, shady things that he did during his administration. But, like, basically, there's like, that guy tried to be like the torchbearer for the left in this election. So it's like, I don't know. But like, and it's worse because like the left has been historically divided in Peru, divided, like, very much. Like, I mean, there are multiple different factions of the left in Peru. Like, they're the one, like, originally it was like Shining Path versus like the mainstream like social democratic left, but then like now there are like 15 different other left wing like factions and groups going against each other. And, like, they were divided before Pedro Castillo stepped in, and now, when Pedro Castillo stepped in, they're now even more divided, because there are literally parties and organizations that were formed by splitting off from other left-wing factions, because these guys liked Castillo, while the other guys didn't like Castillo. Like, I mean, right now, the only thing that's indicative is, like, Peru Libre, Castillo's party, has announced that they're going to run a candidate solo. That is the one thing that they've announced. But, like, I don't really know if that counts as left. Like, the last time Peru Libre elected a president, Pedro Castillo became best friends with Bolsonaro, so it's like, I don't know. And right now, there is actually seemingly negotiations of one of the good factions of the Peruvian left, Veronica Mendoza, who's working with a different faction to possibly run a singular candidate, but honestly, there is not much else to say at the moment. Everything is still up in the air in regards to the election. Like, the election date still isn't even technically official yet. Next is Argentina. Now, I think there could actually be a chance for Argentina to have a major upset, depending on how Milei's policies hit that specific time period. The one unfortunate thing is that I don't think we're going to be having a good thing in regards to that, like, thing. Like, now, in fairness, it's not the worst scenario, but it's not a scenario that I particularly like. I've said this before, but I don't necessarily like when the left does things like hero worship. Like, I mean, admiring a political figure and admiring a, like, politician is one thing. Like, that's one thing. Admiring a political figure is one thing. But then when it comes to hero worship, it just kind of gets a little bit grating. Like reading Karl Marx and then saying, I think this guy has some good points, that's one thing. Dedicating your entire life to Marxism is another thing. And a lot of times in a lot of political movements, especially like this, sometimes hero worship just gets too much. Like, to the point where they just become a perennial candidate that has no actual bearing in the world. Like, the PSL loves Gloria La Riva, and they'll run Gloria La Riva for a long time. The Green Party loves Jill Stein, they'll run Jill Stein forever. That's kind of just the party. It's the party refusing to grow and adapt to the modern world. You're just a Jill Stein book club. You're just a Gloria La Riva book club. Now, I mean, in fairness, sometimes it works. AMLO ran for president 3 times, and it worked. Gustavo Petro ran for president 3 times, it worked. But they ran the candidacies because they felt like the candidacies were, the candidacies were needed. Like, they ran not necessarily because I want to be president, or necessarily. They ran for the ideas. And sometimes good-intentioned people can do this as well. Like, good-intentioned people can do it for the bad reasons as well. But, like, there's a reason why it was different. It's like, it was more like it seemed like with AMLO specifically, with AMLO and Petro, they both explicitly say, like, if this doesn't work, this is it. This is our last bid. If this isn't it, we're done. Like, I guess I should mention Lula. Lula ran for president, like, 5 times, I think, before he won the presidency. Sometimes you have to run multiple times to really build up momentum to build a candidacy. But there are other times where it's like, it's time to let go. Like, an example, let's use an example that's not Latin America. France. Jean-Luc Mélenchon has ran 3 candidacies for president in France. I feel no shame for saying that he should have, and 100% would have supported him in all 3 of those campaigns. But if he runs a 4th campaign, I think that might be a little bit of a problem. I'm pretty sure I've jokingly said, like, yeah, if Jean-Luc Mélenchon did run, I would support him if he's a good candidate, yeah. But I think it's like, it's time for the French left to start looking for a new guy. Same thing with the American left. I feel no shame in supporting Bernie Sanders those 2 times. And if there was like an actual primary 2024, I would have felt no shame in supporting him that time. But I think it's time for us to find a new guy. I've seen what happens when you refuse to let it go. Like, when you refuse to let the old guy go and let the new guy step forward. And we get the situation in Bolivia right now where the Bolivian left is possibly eating itself alive because Evo Morales refuses to concede that he is not the guy anymore. Now, why did I go through all that rant? Well, it's because Argentina, the only person I see as potentially running in the next election that could actually, like, pull the momentum and all this stuff to actually mount a viable bid against Milei, is Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner. Like, she's the only person that I see it doing it. And I think that's who the party is going to go for. She is currently the president of the Justicialist Party. She's basically retaking charge of the party after she was basically booted out of relevance. Like, cause, and that's another thing about, like, what's kind of, like, interesting. Like, the Kirchnerists have kind of been vindicated to an extent. So, like, if you don't remember what happened, in Argentina, it seemed like everybody, like the Kirchnerists actually wanted to run Cristina Kirchner against Javier Milei, like, the first time. That's actually what they wanted to do. And then Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, she was, like, starting to face criminal trials for things that she did during her last administration. And due to that fact, she said, like, I can't run due to these allegations that are going on. I plan on fighting them, but as of right now, I can't mount a presidential campaign. And what ended up happening is that a lot of people ended up, like, a couple of people ended up joining the fray. There was Juan Grabois, Daniel Scaloli, there was another guy, and Sergio Massa. I forget the other guy's name. But what ended up happening is that they all ran. They were all going to run for president. Like, I think his name is, I think the last guy's name is Warden DePello, if I remember correctly. DePeo, or whatever his name is. But, like, regardless. Those are the guys that wanted to run. And 3 of those guys were Kirchnerists. Like, I mean, Juan Grabois even went so far as to say that he might drop out to endorse DePeo. But Massa was a guy who was not a Kirchnerist. And what ended up happening is that Alberto Fernandez, the incumbent president, who was of the Peronist party, he decided to endorse and basically say, our candidate is Massa, as a final fuck you to the Kirchnerists. And Massa ended up losing. So a lot of people are saying, like, hey, maybe if a Kirchnerist was in the position, maybe we would have been in a better position. So it seems like they're going to they want to put her, like they want to put her in the position now. I mean, again, it's not necessarily the worst outcome, because Kirchner is not necessarily a bad person, a bad candidate, a bad president. You'll see where she ranks on the video, but spoilers, it's not really that low. She's, of course, infinitely better than Millet, but I just don't want the Argentine left to feel the need, like, we need to run Kirchner again. I want them to move forward and pick, like, Grabois. Like, I don't even really necessarily give a shit if they, like, pick Peronis. Like, I'd be fine if they literally just said, we're finally at the point where we can just dump Peronism and move forward with something else. But looks like this is the route they're going to have to stick with. Next one is Mexico. Oh boy, Mexico. Whether or not Morena is successful is dependent on Sheinbaum's term, obviously. But here's the thing. This is not necessarily more like whether or not, like, they're going to win, necessarily. I mean, I guess the rest of these ones weren't really determined about if they're going to win or not. But, like, I don't know if Sheinbaum's going to win. Again, that's entirely dependent on Sheinbaum's term. But I 100% know who the Morena torchbearer is going to be. Like, I, without a shadow of a doubt, am going to say right here, right now, who I know for a fact is going to be the torchbearer for the Mexican left in 2020, whatever the next election is, 2028, or whatever it is, like, not 2028, let's see, 2024, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2030, okay. I know who Morena's torchbearer is going to be. I know for a fact. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Hear me now, quote me later. Morena's torchbearer is going to be Mario Delgado. He will be the nominee of Morena's coalition come 2030. And it all stems from the fact that he was Morena's most successful leader. Like, I mean, yes, Morena didn't have that many leaders prior to him, but, like, his success as a political party's leader is just amazing. I mean, like, whether or not you agree with Morena or Mario Delgado or whatever, acknowledge this fact. Mario Delgado went into office with, like, a slight majority in, like, the chambers and, like, a very slim majority of the governors, and he's walked away with super majorities in both legislative chambers, like, winning all but one state in the presidency, and basically all but, like, 5 governorships. He's relatively young, so, you know, that puts him in a prime position, and Sheinbaum even appointed him to the cabinet, so it's like he's getting more national attention now. I don't know if Marcelo Ebrard is going to try anymore, but Mario Delgado will be the guy. Like, I mean, I even go so far as to say that Xochitl Galvez helped Mario Delgado a lot. She literally went on the debate stage, accused Mario Delgado of drug trafficking, giving Mario Delgado free press to basically epically own her everywhere. Like, she literally just helped him. And I don't think he's necessarily a bad candidate, but I mean, I don't really know much about his actual, like, bona fides as a candidate. But he wouldn't necessarily, like, I mean, if Sheinbaum's successful and they pick Mario Delgado, I think Marina's gonna do just fine. Next is Guatemala. Now, Guatemala is very interesting because, I mean, depending on your interpretation, it's either a pink tide nation or not a pink tide nation. Bernardo Arevalo is one of those disputed guys who's on and off been considered pink tide, but regardless, I would even, he wasn't even necessarily the first guy I went to. If you know me, and you know the past episode, you know that I was actually rooting for Thelma Cabrera before she was essentially kicked off the ballot for bullshit reasons. And what's interesting is that she has stated that she's not necessarily not open to the idea of running for president in 2027. If you remember her, she was the indigenous leftist candidate that was banned because her vice president was allegedly corrupt. Here was the thing. Basically, there was a petition. It said hey, will you sign this to declare if you're under investigation for corruption? And he said no. This is stupid. And they said, due to that fact, you're not going to do that. But there were other people who were running for president who were literally currently under investigation for corruption. So obviously, the real reason was because they were scared that she would win, because she was very underpolled in 2019 and ended up getting into a very close fourth. Literally, it was but when she was included in polls, she was polling at 6%, and then she went into office got fourth place at 19%, and what happened was she was polling no, it wasn't that much. It was 10% or something like that, but she was polling relatively well. She wasn't polling relatively well, but that was because they were polling places that weren't really her base, indigenous people. And then for the election, for the next election, what ended up happening is that she was polling 10%. So it's if we do the swing right, she could have potentially been making it to a runoff against Sandra Torres. So of course she had to get kicked off the ballot so that she couldn't win. Maybe she'll run. Maybe she'll win. Fingers crossed. Next is Colombia. Now, Colombia is very weird because this is one where I thought, everyone thought, I thought that it was going to be really easy to just say who was going to be the torchbearer. Because, if you remember the Historic Pact, when Gustavo Petro ran for the Historic Pact nomination, it was his third time running for president. And what ended up happening is that he basically trounced all the other people in the race. It was 83 to the combined total of 20. Literally, it's one giant graph bar and then 3 tiny graph bars. So it's there was it was no chance. The second place finisher was a candidate by the name of Francia Marquez, and it seemed she was the second place finisher, and what ended up happening is Gustavo Petro picked her to be the running mate, not only because she was second place, but also because she's Afro-Colombian, so it's it's an interesting route for IDPO points. So it's hey, it seemed that was kind of the idea. He was actively pushing for her to be the torchbearer. But as of now, she said that she has no interest running for president. So it's that throws a huge wrench in the field. Now, there's a chance that she'll change her mind in between now and the election, because the election is a year away. So there's a chance that she'll change her mind. But so far, there's really not, I checked the people who are running for the Historic Pact nomination. I think, one of them is a guy who got, third against Gustavo Petro the last time. But I think the guy who's actively trying to be the torchbearer in the election is a candidate by the name of Gustavo Bolivar, a prominent musician and activist politician who was a member of the cabinet. He's a member of the cabinet, but then he also ran for Bogota's mayorship, which is the position Gustavo Petro held before he became president. And Gustavo Bolivar actually, there's a very funny video of Gustavo Petro sitting in, a meeting, and then Gustavo Bolivar, he's, basically saying, Gustavo Petro, you're so amazing, you're so awesome, you're so cool, you're amazing, you're the coolest guy ever, you're the fucking, you're amazing. And then Gustavo Petro was yeah, calm down, dude, calm down. And, we can't deny, Gustavo Petro, Gustavo Bolivar, Simon Bolivar. So it's it seems like the perfect guy to run. I'm just saying, he could run as a really good, I'm like Gustavo Petro and I like Simon Bolivar. Will he win? I don't know, but I think he's the guy that really is the attention. He's the guy to pay attention to. And last but certainly not least, we have Brazil. Now, Brazil is one of the major reasons why I made this the podcast, because this one in particular I have been thinking about a lot. Like, I'll literally sit there and be thinking, like, okay, like, but, like, how, like, based on the stuff I've seen, like, okay, so, like, I think the Brazilian left is gonna go, like, this way. Because, like, the Brazilian left is facing a bit of a bind. Like, I mean, we know what happened with the Brazilian left last time. Like, after, like, Lula's, like, imprisonment, and then Lula eventually winning and succeeding the presidency. But now, the Brazilian left is now facing a new torchbearer. Again, and especially, like, the election is not that far away. It's, like, 2026. So it's, like, and, like, one of the first things that happened, like, I think one of the first news stories that happened in Brazil when, Lula won was literally, like, Lula is now searching for his successor. And people are a little bit, like, concerned because it's just, like, Lula, last time Lula picked a successor, Dilma Rousseff got impeached. Then he picked another successor, and that person lost that person lost against Bolsonaro, and it was only until Lula came back that they were able to win against the Brazilian right wing. So it's like they're trying really hard to, and they've been doing a lot of things to try and find the guy. They've been doing a lot of things, and they've been throwing a lot of names. For real. The names that have been thrown out by a lot of people are just insane. Like it's like almost U.S. presidential level of speculation, where it's like they'll throw any name and see what sticks. Like, for example, I think there was a member of the cabinet who supported Ciro Gomez over Fernando Haddad in 2018. He was floated. It's like, because like he could be, because he was like more of the right wing of PT. So it's like, oh, he could possibly like run against them in that regard, or like maybe he'll be able to like bring a new face to the movement, or blah blah blah, like that kind of stuff. Then also, like, the head of PT was actually floated. It's like, oh, wow. I mean, of course, they would be floated because, like, you know, head of the political party. So it's like, they're, of course, going to push their own political agenda to try and, like, be like, we're the guy. But, and, like, they even throw some names out there that, like, a bit of, like, are you sure? Like, Marina Silva, who's, like, a pretty old, like, member of, they worked with Lula in the past, and then, like, they're now in, like, a opposition, like, not in an opposition party, but, like, in a party that's, like, not PT. So it's like, maybe they'll run them. But I don't want to just find, like, random people. I want to find, like, the ones that I think really will. Because, like, now, I mean, in my mind, I've always knew that there were, like, three, like, there were a couple of people that were, like, these are the real people that they're looking at. Like, and I think after some digging, here are the 6 most prominent names that are being floated. Now, I've actually kind of divided them into 2 categories. The first category are, like, these are the names I'm seeing floated around a lot, but I'm not sure if these are the ones that are, like, the ones they want. And you'll see what I mean when I get into them. First one, I just have to acknowledge this. Lula himself. Like, I mean, look, guys, and before you say anything, yes, I know Lula said that he did not want to run for president when he ran last time. Yes. He said, he has stated point blank, he does not want to run for president. But there was another interview, not like more recently, where Lula said that he can't throw out the possibility of running for re-election. Like I mean, if they're faced with a very bad situation, I'm pretty sure Lula will definitely step up to the plate if he thinks that he's the only guy who can do it. But it's pretty clear he also does not want to. Like, guys, Lula is clearly trying to be the last resort. Like he's like, remember, like I said, one of the first news stories, pushing for a successor. He's like, he appointed all these people in the fucking cabinet for a reason. It's like, guys, I'm trying to get you got the crib of the crop to pick anybody else but me. Guys, he married a woman who is 20 years younger than him. The only running he wants to do is into their bedroom. But again, he's in the rotation. He's trying to, like, get out of the rotation, but he's definitely in the rotation. All right, next is Minister of Planning, Simone Tebet. Now, that's interesting. Simone Tebet was the leader of the Brazilian, like, democratic movement, a center-right party. So it's like, why is she in this speculation? Well, she actually, like, I mean, I knew she wanted to run for president, but I didn't know if she was going to be, like, running, like, as a candidate of the left. But that was until she got the endorsement of PT Congressman Jean Willis. For those who don't know, Jean Willis is, like, the first LGBTQ member of the Brazilian, like, Congress, who was forced to resign due to the fact that he was gay and he was getting, like, harassment from Bolsonaro people. But, like, he actually just openly said, like, he wants to endorse her. Like, he's basically, and he's, in the round that he's basically said is, like, he thinks, like, because, like, one of the big things that she was seen as sort of the kingmaker in the last cycle. Like, it was really close last time, and then her endorsement of Lula basically, like, made people go, okay, that might be interesting. And he's basically saying, like, yeah, I think it's better if we supported her bid instead of running our own candidate. He basically said, like, I think it's time for PT to realize we are not the main characters anymore. And it's very ironic. PT, at one point, used to be the one that basically was like, we are the new main characters. But now PT has to acknowledge the fact that there's a chance that there might not be the figureheads anymore. Like, a lot of the people that I meant, like, a lot of the people that are speculating are like PT diehards, but I don't include them because, like, are these guys really that prominent? Like, I mean, yeah, they're like members of the cabinet. They're probably prominent enough, but it's like, you don't speculate every single member of the cabinet as a person who's potentially going to be a presidential candidate. You don't speculate every single candidate. Was Tom Vilsack speculated as a 2016 presidential candidate over, like for that? No. They speculated Joe Biden. They speculated, like, Julian Castro. They speculated Hillary Clinton. They didn't speculate on fucking, like, oh, the Secretary of the Interior. They don't speculate on that fucking guy. However, there is a chance that she might go solo outside of the PT alliance, so, you know, whatever. And next is VP Geraldo Alckmin, an opponent to the Brazilian left until 2022. He's only in the speculation because I think, this is my theory. My theory is that he was promised to be the guy. My theory was that they promised him that he would be the guy if he became the vice president. I think that's what they told him. I don't know if that is actually the plan, but I can guarantee you they told him that. I cannot guarantee that they will actually do that. But I think, again, he's in the circle. But here's the fact. Those three are fine and dandy and whatever for their own reasons, whatever. But I really think that the Brazilian left is at a crossroads. They have 3 roads ahead of them. Each of those 3 roads are represented by one person. While yes, the 3 that I mentioned before are also roads, I think these are the roads that they're actually looking towards. And they're all based on 3 potential routes. And it all stems from what they prioritize and what they view as the most loyal thing in the coalition. Road 1 is for those who want to remain loyal to the party PT. And in that road, we have Minister of Finance Fernando Haddad. It's pretty clear that PT has been grooming him to be the president since 2018. Remember, he was Lula's running mate, so it was pretty clear that what was going to happen was that Lula was going to run, and then after Lula got his one term, Fernando Haddad would get his next term. And when Lula was jailed, they immediately just threw Haddad on the top of the ticket without a second glance, because it's like, yeah, this was the plan anyway, so, like, sure, why not do it now? They keep putting him in high-profile races, like the Sao Paulo mayor race, and I think they put him in, like, the Sao Paulo, like, governor or senate race at the time. He's in the cabinet? Like, they're putting him in these prime positions specifically so that he can remain in the political spotlight. I think within the internal politics of PT, he's got the slight edge. But he did fail in 2018. So I'm pretty sure there's, like, that's the one thing that's holding him back probably within internal PT politics from just de facto being the guy. Like, he didn't win the last time. He didn't win. We ran him and he didn't work. Is that a good idea? But in fairness, Lula didn't win on his first term either. So it's like, I don't know. I think he's definitely, like, the representative of those who are PT loyalists. The second road is the road of the past, in a sense, where it's time for, where PT was faced with this road before, where the prominent left-wing party, the PDT, wasn't doing so hot, and then a new shining political party stepped in, and they decided to take over the helm of the Brazilian left. Some think that maybe PT should probably do the same thing. It's time for them to step aside and let a new party to come on in. And that is where they would get someone like Federal Deputy Guilherme Boulos. Boulos is, again, like, basically representing the anti-PT voices in the coalition. The party that he is a member of, the PSOL, the party of, I don't know if the Party of Socialism and Liberty, that's the name. I was gonna get confused with, Gloria La Riva's, like, cult. But, like, his party was originally a bunch of PT dissidents who used to be a fringe party, but then Boulos put them into the mainstream. Like, literally the exact same story as PT. PT was a bunch of dissidents from the PDT, and then they basically, like they were the fringe lefties, and then Lula brought them into the mainstream. Like, literally, he's considered one of Lula's heirs due to the history, and also the fact that he literally just looks like a young Lula. Like, literally. He's also been pushed into high-profile races as well. Like, I mean, there was a situation where it's like, PT wanted to put Fernando Haddad in the race, but then PISO wanted to put Boulos in the race, and they actually coordinated with each other and went like, I think it's best if I go in this race, and then you go in this race, and like, okay, that's fair. I think, like, I mean, again, like, as Willis said, like, you know, maybe it's time for PT to realize they're not the main characters anymore, but I think Boulos is probably the better representative of this. And last but certainly not least, we have Road 3. Those who think that neither of those factors are really relevant, and all the Brazilian people want is Lula. Lula, Lula, Lula. They want Lula. But they didn't say which Lula, and that's where we get First Lady Janja Lula da Silva. Like, basically, again, like, this is the road of people who are just purely loyal to the name Lula da Silva. Like, I mean, Lula married a woman 20 years younger than him for a reason, and if it's not for that obvious reason, then clearly it has to be for a reason of, like, trying to push her into, like, being the new face of Brazilian politics. Those are the only two rats I can see. Like, those are the only two rats I can see. One is Lula thinking with the top head, and the one is Lula thinking with the other head. Now, do I necessarily believe that this is the road he wants her to take? No, I don't think so. I think Lula married her for the very obvious reason. Like, again, Lula was like in his 70s. He's marrying a woman who's in her 50s or 60s. Like, yeah, 50s. And it's like, come on. But this is still like a possibility. Like, even if this wasn't the plan, this is still a possibility. You know, I mean, it's not necessarily impossible for them to have married for like different reasons, and then this just so happens to be the road that is viable for them. But again, I don't think this is the primary reason. Like, I mean, I put her here specifically just because, like, I genuinely do think these are the three roads that they're going down. These are the three roads. These are the three roads they have. Do I think that this, of the three, I think Janja is probably the least likely road, and I think it's going to be a battle between Boulos and Haddad, and or likely it's just going to be a ticket of Boulos and Haddad, put whichever one on the top is relevant. I think that that's the road that they want. I don't know if that, again, and it's been the test. I mean, Boulos is definitely being tested. Like, he was put in the Sao Paulo mayor race twice in a row, and I think he was put in a different race. Like, again, he was put as a federal deputy. Like, he was put in that race for a reason. It's like, it's not impossible. Like, I mean, I think they're testing them. Like, they're testing them. I still, like, I mean, I think that Boulos has a slightly less chance now that he lost the Sao Paulo mayoral race, but it's not impossible for them to still want him. Again, it could be any of those guys. For all I know, Lula gets nominated again. Like, Lula da Silva, like, Luis Inácio Lula da Silva gets nominated again. Regardless. Anyways, that's pretty much all I gotta say on the Pink Tide. Is the Pink Tide gonna win? Is the Pink Tide gonna lose? I don't know. But come back on Thursday and we'll see how they rank in a video that I made. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell to notify when a future video comes out. And if you need more content from me, consider supporting me on Patreon.